continue with some of the functions that we learned. Let's work with format function a bit more. Last time we worked with it and formatted a number and showed specific number of decimal places, and then we also showed comma in the number. Today I'm going to, or in this video, I'm going to talk about how we can take a number or a string and format the value that we have, regardless of what type it is. So with the previous one, we only work with numbers. Now we are going to work with anything that we have and see if we can format that. Okay, so let's try formatting something that we had, like a number similar to before. Just practice that. So I'm going to put format. Again, I'm practicing. I do all of my practice in the shell. And then when I'm ready, I move them into my program. So I want to see what I get from it. And then after I practice, I take it to my program and put it there because then I'm sure how it works. So I'm going to put a value here. So with a bunch of digits and some decimal places, and then I want to format it. So again, with the format function, the way that we are going to use it for the first half of the videos is we are going to pass two values to it. The first one is a value that you want to format, and the second one is the format specifier, the way that you want to format it. So for this number, the way I want to format it is I want to only see, let's say, 2 decimal places, and I want to see comma whenever appropriate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the format specifier, and format specifier is always going to be inside quotations. So you see it turns green because it's going to be a string type. It's going to be a string, basically. And that is our format specifier. So let's try going with the value that we want. Again, we said we want to see 2 decimal places. So I'm going to put period 2. So that means 2 decimal places. So 0.2f means only keep 2 decimal places for me, and it's going to be a float type. And then if you want to see comma, you're going to add comma before that period. For now, I'm going to just run this one, make sure this works, and then I'm going to add the comma to it. So I'm going to run this one. You see only 2 decimal places are there. The rest is cut. We are not going to see that. And it's just like, it's not changing your number. It's just creating a string for you that looks the way that you want. So let's try it again. And this time we are going to also add the comma to it. So now I have the comma here. And what it does is going to see if it's appropriate, if the number is big enough, it has more than 3 digits, going to add the comma to it, depending on the number of digits that you have, okay? So let's try it again, and you see you have 37,467.28. So that is a number, that is a format that you wanted. That's the way that you wanted it to be displayed. Okay, so that was like how to format a number. We can also format strings. We can format other types of values. So let's try again. So this time I'm going to pass 2 values to it. The first one is the value that you want to see, the way that you want. And the second one is your format specifier, the way that you want it to be displayed. So let's put hello world here. So this is a string that I have, and I want to format it. Let's say I want to have like this beautiful line with a hello word at the middle of that and then some dashes around it, okay? If I want to create it without having this format specifier, I should say, for instance, print, and let's say hello world, and then I need to add those dashes manually to it. So I'm going to just do this, and then just copy that, put it at the end of this one, and then close it. So if I do it, it creates a line for me. But if you use format function, it makes it much, much easier for you to create that exact same line. So let's try using format specifier. So I'm going to use the same line that I have here. So this is a value that I want to format. And then for my format specifier, I need to determine how many characters I want to allocate to that line. So depending on how many characters we have in total here, we are going to put that number inside our format specifier. I'm not going to count it here. Just let's say I want to have 50 characters, okay? So here I'm going to put 50 or 60 or 70, depending on how big or small that string you want it, like you want that string to be, okay? So you put that number here. So I'm going to run this one and see like I have this line, this is string, this new string that is created for me with 50 characters allocated to it. And hello world is on the very left side of it. So the way it works is by default, it's going to left justify your information. The value that you have is going to be placed at the most left part of that string. You can change that if you want to. So there are other specifiers that you can pick from. So let's say I want to center this message, this value that I have. So for that, you're using this character, which sometimes is used for power in other programming languages. So you use this one. It's like a hat that you have, and it places your message in the middle of that string and then put the extra characters in either side of it as equal as possible. If you have odd number of characters, it's going to put one extra on the right side, okay? You can also make everything to show it on the very right side of it if you want to, okay? So let's try that. So if you want everything to start on the very right, you're going to point to the right. So that means go to the right. So you're pointing that way. So if you point that way, your message is going to show up on the very right side. By default, again, it's going to be left. If you don't put any character here, is going to be left, but you can also, just to make sure, put that, and this one is also left. Okay, but as you see, the number of characters in all of them is exactly the same because we said 50 characters. And if you go ahead and count the number of characters, you're going to see it's exactly 50 characters, including the message that you have, right? So what happens, let's say I have this one, what happens if the number of characters that I have is less than the number of characters that my value has? Right now we have 11 characters here, and I'm saying 10. What would happen? What do you think? So first of all, you can always run this one, see the result. So, but the value that you're going to see is going to be your actual value without any cuts. The reason is, it doesn't want you to lose any information. It doesn't want you to have the message or the value that you have cut in any way. So if you have less character than the actual value that you have, it's going to ignore that. It's going to just put it there and just create that string for you. It's like not having it at all. It's like not formatting that message or that value at all. Okay? So if you have less character than your actual value, it's going to ignore it. If you have more, it's going to format it based on how you ask it to be formatted. All right. So there are other ways that you can also format. There are other things that you can add to it. For example, here I had the way that I printed it manually by putting all of those dashes, placing the value that I have in the middle of that text and stuff like that. Let's say I want to see these dashes when I'm using format function. I want to have my message in the middle, and I want to have those nice dashes or any other characters in either side of it. What can I do? How can I change my format function to do that for me? It is very simple. So I'm going to pick this one that centered your message, and before the format, like the placement specifier, which is like either the hat or less than or greater than sign, you can put whatever character, which is like a filler, we call it filler, in there. If you put that filler, whatever you want to put, a dash, an equal sign, a star, is going to fill out the empty or blank spaces for you with that character. So let's try with this equal sign, and you're going to see you have the hello word, and then in either side of it, you're going to see that filler that is filling all of the blank spaces for you, right? You can change it to any other character that you want. So let's do dash, for instance, and it's going to fill out with that dash. It's going to fill the rest for you with whatever you put in there. So that is a nice way of creating header lines for your programs. Let's say the program that you're writing have different sections to it. So you can create your output in a way that has those different sections. And you print that. This is section 1 of my program. This is section 2 of my program. And you easily see those sectioning when you are printing your output. So it is very nice for someone who's checking your code to understand, okay, this is part of section 1, this is part of section 2. And it's a nice way of doing it. And format function allows you to easily do that. Okay, so you can just changing one value, which is the message that you have, and you keep everything else the same for your for the line that you have in there. Okay, you can also combine formatting, the format specifier for a string that we just talked about, to values, to numeric values that we had, for instance, at the beginning here, okay? So let's see if we can combine the two. So right now, if I just hit enter, it's going to format this number in a way that I asked it. Put a comma, cut all of the decimal places except the first two that we have, and it's going to show it like a float value for us. You can also combine this one with the previous one that we talked about. So let's say, for instance, I want to have 20 characters allocated to this message, and I want to center it. All right. To do that, I'm going to put all of those stuff that we talked about at the beginning of the format specifier. So I'm going to say, okay, I want to center this one, and I want to allocate 20 characters to it. So I'm combining two different format specifiers into one. So center the message, allocate 20 characters to it, and then the rest is going into the how to format a numeric value, add a comma, have two decimal places, and so on and so forth. So if I run this one, you're going to see it has a number at the center, the way that you wanted to format it, and then it has those blank spaces in either side. If you want to also include a filler, you can easily do that. So I'm going to add a filler here. Let's say I want to add a dash, and it's going to add the dash to your message in there. Okay, so play with it. Play with format specifier, play with numeric values and string values, and see how you can format different types of values that you have so far.